How do you approach training new team members in agile practices to quickly integrate them into the team's workflow? Well, step one is probably obvious, but I've seen people do overkill here. You only need to teach them what they need to know. You only need to get them thinking about what you use. So if you're not using paired programming, probably should be. But if you're not, don't go into it. And the reason I say that is I've actually seen an awful lot of teams have quite a detailed onboarding approach that they don't use most of. So they're actually setting up a new team member to think they're going to be doing more than they are. And that leads to dissatisfaction. Actually, in some cases, a little bit of resentment. So first of all, teach them what they need to know. And for me, my favorite way is pair programming. Don't necessarily go off and stick them on a course. And I say that as a trainer. Okay, you don't need to. Actually, within the team, there's probably enough knowledge to give them the foundational skills that they need. So stick them with somebody who is more experienced in whatever it is they need to learn about. And in fact, the most important thing they need to learn about is how do we as a team function? So give them that. Stick them with somebody and pair program. And what I mean by that is that very simple, I'm typing, you're watching, and we are talking. Okay? Because in doing that, we can learn how to do things together. The person who's an old hand in the team can say, well, actually, we do things this way. This is why we're going into that. This is why we do this stuff. And the new person, and this is one people forget, can bring new blood to it. They can bring their own experiences, their own insights. They can ask questions that other people who are meant to know better feel that they can't. So you get those naive questions, as they're called, which isn't a bad thing, because they may just puncture the assumption that everybody else in the team is holding on to. What we want when we're doing this is to bring somebody into the team. So for me, the agile practices are important. We want to do that. And again, I would almost invariably start with pair programming. If we need to teach them even more foundational stuff like what is Scrum, sit down with them for 15 minutes and take them through it. You don't need a big training course. When you think about it, Scrum's really simple. Much of what we do, the ideas, the concepts are simple. It's the practice that's difficult. And they're only going to get to know that by doing it. So if you've got a daily Scrum, if you've got a stand-up and they don't know what one is, sit them down beforehand and just say, we do this to make sure that everybody knows what matters and work out how best to deliver it. This is what I expect to see. This is the type of conversation. How do you feel? And they'll probably go, yeah, it makes sense. Fair enough. And go in and be absolutely fine. So we can drip feed these things in as they're appropriate so they can be acted on, they can be practiced immediately, rather than, and I have seen it, and I've probably over the years been guilty of it, going in and going, we need to teach you everything. They're going to forget it all. Let's be honest. 2 weeks from now, they've sat in, they've been engaged in a highly interactive workshop training session. 2 weeks from now, they're not going to remember it. They're probably going to remember it was a bit of fun and a few of the words, and yeah, but they'll remember the stuff they've used. All that other stuff, you're going to have to teach them again later. So don't stress too much. The way that I approach this these days is very much as and when needed, introduce the concepts and ensure that not only do they understand where we as a team are coming from, but give them the opportunity to input into how we as a team can work going forward, which is obviously a wider conversation. But I, as a Scrum Master, can have that first chat with them, or somebody from the developers or the product owner, whoever is most appropriate, can have that chat and determine this is something to talk with the rest of the team about. They've got a better idea of how to do this or that or the other. Well, get everybody together, sit down and have the chat. Absolutely fine. So put your training decks away. That's probably the key message here. If you've got somebody joining your team, don't think it's a chance to polish up your 4-hour training course on what the agile practices are that we use. It's an opportunity to meet them where they are and work with them. Have the decks, absolutely fine, because you might need 10 minutes of that deck, of that wonderful 4-hour course, just to solidify what they know, what they understand. and to ensure that everybody's on the same page. Fantastic. Okay? But meet them where they are and add the information that they need when they need it, and allow them and the rest of the team to explore that space to find their own way of working.